time to travel back to BLOCKCON. Join me for this amazing series where we get to talk to blockheads who attended the first ever BLOCKCON convention in Chicago, Illinois. Well, I'm really happy that you made the time to come on the show. I've always been like, oh, Charlene, I bet you'd be an amazing guest. So thank you, Charlene.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, the cool thing about BLOCKCON is that everyone I've talked to so far is like, this is obviously the first one. So there's no prior experience on this for anyone like there is with concerts and the cruise and everything like that. So getting into it, I wanted to ask you, how many times have you seen the guys live? And have you been on the cruise?
Let me see, because I didn't see the New Kids in the 80s and 90s. Mom said if I ever won tickets on the radio, she'd take me. So I played every contest and never won. So the first time I saw them was in 2008 when they came back. So let me see. I saw 2008, 2015. I didn't see them in between. And then in 2017 was the first time we went to, they did a little show at the House of Blues here. And so we went to that, and then the Hollywood Bowl, did two of them in 15, I think it was. And then, so I think I've seen them probably about 10 times.
Nice. That's a good number. There.
Yeah. And I hadn't gone to the cruise, any cruise previous. I have a blockhead friend from high school, and she has like been going, and I thought I like them, but that's excessive. No, I take it back. I meet all these people on the internet and that live in all these different places. So 2008, the Cruise X, we went on the Cruise X, and I was like, okay, I understand. It's grown up spring break. I would like to do this again, please.
Yeah.
So that was the first. I didn't go to the last one, but that was the first only cruise I went to was Cruise X.
Wow. It's crazy because this was the last one was my first one. So now, I mean, well, after watching Rock the Boat and all of that, I was like, okay, this is something I need to do. And it was absolutely worth it. So.
Yeah. I don't know what a regular cruise would be like, because I would imagine that you're on the Lido deck till 4 a.m. with Donnie Wahlberg. So if that's not happening, what do you do on a boat?
Totally. So with this being the first BLOCKCON, overall, how was your experience? How did you feel about it?
I thought it was wildly fun. I really liked how everything was in walking distance. So I liked, even though we did have like kind of space between the days, like on the Friday we drove out to Wahlburgers and ate, and then came back for the concert and stuff. I thought they did a good job, and just having a bunch of silly, goofy friends, we had a bunch of fun. And if it was just us hanging out or listening to that, hours of panels where they were just sharing all of those stories, I was like, can this get any better? Because I thought it was wonderful. What did you think? Did you have as much of a blast?
It was the ultimate thing for a hardcore fan. Just the intimacy of panels. Just learning so much about them. Like they really like let us in.
Yeah.
And it was, you could tell it was like emotional for them. And it was a beautiful thing. And I agree with the whole thing about everything being so close together. I think it was fairly well organized when you look at that aspect.
Yeah, I do like that. And then too, the thing is too, it's like on the boat. Yeah, you're on the boat, but it seems more like kind of crazy chaos. Here it seemed more chill. Yeah. And I did like that. Even if like say you didn't get the 2 hotels where they had the block pricing, there still were other hotels all around the place.
Yeah.
There were food options, there was all these different things. So I kind of felt, since it was the first one, like I feel like I have to be there. This is the first one ever. Yeah. And I would go back as many times as they have it again. I would definitely go back again.
I agree. I also agree with the fact that I didn't feel rushed at all. I felt like we could take our time getting ready for things, going out, having dinner, whatever, meeting up with friends, where I feel like on the cruise, which I love, by the way, this is not taking down anything, but on the cruise, I always felt like I was in a hurry and needed to be somewhere and hurry up and get ready and hurry up and do this. So maybe that's just how I did it. This year when I go on the cruise, maybe I'll slow my roll a bit.
So
And
you
then
are going on the cruise?
I am. Are
Yeah,
you?
nice. No. I was going to, and then they announced BLOCKCon. And I thought, well, this is different.
This is a thing you've got to do. And yeah, it's cool. And it's also a more affordable option too. And it gives you just as much exciting fun with the guys and your friends
Yeah.
doing BlockCon. So
Yeah. Because they don't seem to do cruises on the West Coast, which would be wonderful if they
no
did
doubt.
cruises from the West Coast. I live in Long Beach. Like the cruises leave out of Long Beach. So if they were to do that, I'd be on every cruise because I don't have to fly to the East Coast of, America and then get a room ahead of time. And because that's what it was too. It was like the cost of BlockCon with the flights and the hotel was cheaper than as if then the cruise.
Does Carnival Cruise Line run out of Long Beach too?
It looks like it because they dock next to the Queen Mary, and so like if we're in that area, we'll look like, oh, there's a cruise, and they sure look alike. But other thing too, it's like the amount of stuff that you're doing on the boat with the guys, or just being around on the boat. You don't really have to stop anywhere. So even if they did stop in Mexico, like somebody was saying one time, well, there's not enough stops. I'm like, well, do they don't really do that many stops, do they? I don't think so.
No, I think it's just the one.
Yeah.
Just the one, as far as I know. And I think this year they're only spending 1 day on the beach instead of 2.
Oh, see? And it's the key. What is it? I can't think of the name of it.
Half Moon.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my sister, and I'm telling my family, I'm like, I'm going on the exact same cruise again, the exact same destinations. And they're like, okay, you'd think you'd want to go somewhere different. I'm like, I don't care. It's new kids.
It's going to be no sleep and all fun.
Exactly. But back, I get so distracted. So you went to Wahlburgers on the Friday. So
yes.
Is that when you got into town?
So I flew in on Thursday, but my flight didn't land till 5. So I knew it was going to be a trek from the airport to Wahlburgers, and I didn't want to get there at 5 if thankfully wasn't delayed. But if I had any delays or any issues, I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to have to get stuck. Like I'm supposed to be in Wahlburgers. Yeah. So we stayed at the Hyatt, and my roomie Jenny, OG CoverGirl Jenny, her flight did get delayed, so she didn't get in until like after 10.
Oh,
that night, Thursday. Yeah. So, being that we had so much time because we didn't have to check because we got VIP somehow. Shockingly, we didn't have to check in until like 5:30. So we were like, well, what are we gonna do Friday? And then we took because there was 6 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there were 6 of us, and we took a big like a Uber van to Wahlburgers. But I know why it took 50 minutes because like, oh, there's no like straight freeway to get there. You got to take all the street the whole way there. But we did Wahlburgers, and it wasn't crowded. We got to take all the pictures and eat some food and maybe have some drinks. But I'm glad I got to see it, the clubhouse, the official Wahlburgers. You know what I mean? Did you go on one of the days? Was it Sunday or did you go Thursday?
We actually went Wednesday to have dinner because we actually wanted to enjoy it and see everything inside because we didn't know if we'd even get in the door on Thursday, which we didn't, which was fine because we didn't even line up. We went to visit friends in the lineup. And then we all were lucky enough to get our Donnie selfies and a Danny selfie as well when they showed up. But oh man, it's such a lovely place. I'd been to a Wahlburgers once before in Palo Alto.
Okay.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different experience because this is a family owned restaurant, not like the franchise, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the food was way better here. The experience, the service, it was unreal. Loved it.
Yeah, the waitress was a little bit older and she was very friendly. And she's like, this is Donnie on his confirmation. And she's like pointing at the table. He needs to give me more details for these photos so I could talk about them more when he's not here. But she was a lot of fun. So you flew in. Did you get into Chicago in Wednesday or Tuesday?
Wednesday morning.
Oh, okay.
Wednesday morning. And flying in from where I live in Canada, Edmonton, is actually the furthest thing from direct. So I had to go all the way to Montreal. I had to go all the way across the country and back to Chicago.
So are you like in the middle? Help me with my Canadian geography.
I am on the West Coast, but I'm about a 12-hour drive from Vancouver.
Yeah,
So I'm just on 3 hours east of the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. So not the best options for flights, but I was just happy to be there. It didn't matter.
Well, I'm glad you got there early so that it wouldn't be a problem.
That's what I figured would be the best idea to do. Going back into BLOCKCON, of course, things you learned from the panels that you didn't know.
I thought when they came back with the block, since Neo was on, because I didn't hear Summertime first. The first song I heard was Single. And I saw the video and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. They look so good. This is wonderful. So I thought, with no knowledge at all, I assumed that they had Neo on it because, like, oh, well, let's get a new singer with this, to bring the new kids back. Let's have them, but like add Neo on for like as a new singer. So that's what I just assumed that. So to hear that it was his song and that's how they kind of worked it out, I was like, oh, okay.
That was new information.
100%. So that was one thing that I thought that was that. And then, I mean, it was fun hearing the old school stuff, like how Donnie took Danny's ex-girlfriend to prom.
And of course, how they hugged it out on prom night. It's all good, man. I love you.
There's not that many choices. Like, okay.
I did. Funny.
Yeah, I liked how it was just like us watching them hang out as friends. I'm like, we're hearing all these stories.
It was. It felt like you were being led into their friendship and their bond.
1,000%. 1,000%. What did you like? What was your like aha from their storytelling?
Oh, well, I did definitely like the part where they showed the video and talked about Lady Gaga in the studio. And Joe's little Lady Gaga dance.
Yes. Yes.
And since I'm a huge fan of Twisted, which is my favorite song on the block, I loved hearing about the origin story of that and Timbaland, because Timbaland is one of my absolute favorites.
Same.
So when I saw he was on the album, you know what? Could you tell it was Timbaland the first time you listened to it before you even knew he was the writer and producer?
I thought, well, this sounds different. I didn't think it was Timbaland. Like, I know around that same time, Madonna's album, the Hard Candy one, I could tell. I was like, okay, this is a Kanye track. This is a Timbaland track. I could clock it on the Madonna one, but for the New Kids one, I think I was just so in awe that they were back that I didn't even think.
The whole thing about the block was like, not only I think it's their best album and I think it still stands up, but I mean, like, just all the different appearances. I really appreciated that all these people that got into it and helped them make it, because I like to see them get respect.
Yeah,
we all do. Seeing them get respect from their peers meant a lot to me, to see that, okay, this is really happening, and it really doesn't matter what everyone else thinks, but I thought it was cool.
But come on, some respect. Thank you from the crowd.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It was what I longed for them.
Yeah, I was glad when they came back that it was very obvious that they were coming back with a purpose. It wasn't like, hey, we're just gonna try to do this cash grab. Let's see how it when they came back, it felt like full force. Like, this is real. This is like, they're doing it. It's not like a sad, pathetic, like, lounge act, like, here they are dancing and doing all the things and looking amazing and sounding amazing. And now they're in front of me and I never saw them live before. This is amazing, So the fact that I remember thinking, like, this is the only time, like, this is going to be the only tour. And then I was even telling Jenny there, as I'm a computer savvy person, but I didn't think after I saw them in 2008, let me get on their website. Let me see if they have a mailing list. It just didn't cross my mind. Or like when I got on Twitter, let me look for New Kids on the Block. I just didn't think of it. And I'm like, I moved back I was in Central California and I moved back to Southern California in 2009. And so I didn't see any of the tours between then because I wasn't in sync. I am an NSYNC girl, not a Backstreet Boys girl. So when they went on tour with Backstreet Boys, I'm like, Backstreet Boys, not in sync. I don't want to go to that tour. So I didn't go out of pure NSYNCism. And
damn it, Justin.
I know. I just want JC. I just
I'm
want
a JC girl. I'm a JC girl.
Oh my God.
I firmly believe JC was robbed.
Yes.
And he needs justice.
Yes, Justice for JC. I think there's even a TikTok page called Justice for JC.
Sure.
But yeah, I never saw them for that tour. And then I didn't see them with 98 Degrees. I don't know what tour that was. But then in 2000, it might have been 2013, I was very pregnant when they were in Southern California. So my cousins are like, you should go anyway. I said, I'm either going to have a newborn, I'm going to be in labor, or be uncomfortably, humongously pregnant. So I didn't go to that show. And that's why that's why it was so long between 2018 and 2015 when I saw them again.
Okay.
Yeah. And now it's like, I want to go to all the shows.
As many as you can.
I don't want to miss them. Or BLOCKCON.
Oh, from the concert, what was your favorite part of that? And with the deep cuts, was there any deep cuts that you want to hear for the next one?
Joe coming out in that black and white jacket and singing that song. I almost lost my mind.
No. And the choreography matching the screen of the old school performance was so cool.
He was so I've never seen him do that live. And I was doing video of it. And in my video, you could, because I had my camera above my head, and I was saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then Jenny was next to me saying, breathe. And in the video, it's just him dancing. And then you hear her go, breathe, because she was telling me to breathe because I was freaking out. So definitely that one. I love when they do Face the Music songs.
Mm-hmm.
Because they usually don't. And so the fact that they did a couple of those, I like that. And they come out with the dedicate. I was like, oh, ooh, okay.
I know. That was the one I was really hoping to hear. So it made me happy.
So, yeah, when they've actually started. I did like that they did Grown Man.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. When what was the other one? I was like, oh, okay. I've never heard them do live Jealous Blue from the 10 album. I'd like to hear them do that someday.
Yeah, I think I've only seen it on YouTube where they performed it, probably around the time of the release of 10. Yeah.
So that would be my other one. I like seeing John do his little solos where the few lines that he has, that Disney prince he is.
It was Nikki and Brooke who came up with that, wasn't it? The whole Disney Prince thing.
It's wildly fitting. I mean, look at the man. He's like 50 something and he has the thickest head of hair ever. Like,
what a beautiful, beautiful soul. And like, I thought it would be funny. I think I was saying to Nikki and Brooke that like cruise doors themes, if someone could somehow incorporate Jonathan in as a Disney prince.
Yeah.
On their door. I think that would be brilliant. I would love that.
Any John girls out there going on the cruise, make it happen.
Here's some ideas for you. Yeah.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Dope Nostalgia listeners, I love you and I thank you so much for being a part of this show and its success over the last 2 years. We have what's called Patreon for those who want to support the show financially. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a subscriber and get bonus content, early podcast release, all kinds of cool behind-the-scenes stuff, and more. There's different tiers of membership starting at only $1 a month. And we even have some special merch for you guys who are in it for the long run. So please join our Patreon. It's at www.patreon.com/dope nostalgia.
This is Brooke.
And this is Nikki.
And this is my so-called whatever.
Hey!
Hey guys, we're an 80s and 90s / NKOTB podcast.
That's New Kids on the Block, if you didn't know that.
We're here to share your stories.
Yeah.
And ours.
Yeah.
And
have a good time.
Have a great time.
Let's be nostalgic.
Talk about what it was like growing up.
In the 80s and the 90s.
Talk about what we were wearing, the music we were listening to, the bands we liked.
The movies we watched.
The TV shows, all the pulp culture stuff.
All of that stuff. That's what we talk about in this podcast. So,
and a heavy helping of New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, so, but here's the thing. If you aren't a New Kids on the Block fan, that's okay, because we flip-flop between
Week
the
to week.
topics each week. So we do a New Kids on the Block episode one week, which we call the Block Party, and then we do a 80s, 90s episode. So,
which is 80s and 90s.
yeah.
And we welcome you to listen to one or the other or all.
Yeah. Join us. Be our guest.
Be our guest. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
It's the New Kids on the Block. Joseph, Jonathan, Jordan, Donnie, and Danny. Who's their number one fan?
I'm the number one fan. I've got all 5 concert kits with all 5 personal interview cassettes. I am. I've got all 5 concert kits with their cassettes and the new kids stage, plus all 5 kids in their street clothes. I'm the number one fan. I've got all the kids, their stage, and the New Kids on the Block phone.
The New Kids on the Block. Who's their number one fan?
I am.
New Kids on the Block concert kits come with cassette, stage, hanging loose kits, and accessories sold separately.
So who's your favorite guy?
Jordan.
Okay.
It's hard being a Jordan girl, let me tell you.
Well, I was thinking about, okay, so we get spoiled here in California and as a Joe girl, because he does these little shows, and I'm glad he's going to other places. Because, you know, it's places he doesn't usually go, but just him getting up and singing his songs, New Kid songs and covers is like magic. And I was the last one I went to, I was able to get into his little 50-person show at the end of December before he did Carnegie. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, if Jordan did this, if it was just like 2 hours of Jordan just singing and chatting, like he would sell everything out. He doesn't have to do anything. And it's literally just Joe and like a piano player and a guitar player, or then he'll bring on E-Man, and then they'll do their songs together. But it's like, you don't need much, Jordan. You just need a club and a little band, and everyone would show up. You would show up. Like, imagine, like, oh, he's doing a show in Vancouver.
I'm there. I ain't that far. Make it happen, you know.
But you know,
I know maybe it's something he'll consider again in the future, you know, because he's missed, and I'm sure that he knows that.
Because he can do stuff that doesn't involve getting back on Instagram. He can do things. Come on, Jordan.
That's the thing. He doesn't have to be on social media. It would be really nice, and I respect that he isn't on social media, because I know mental health, that stuff can be consuming. I get it. And I listened to him on Frosted Tips with Lance Bass, and I get it. I just think that if there was some way he could set up a line of communication with fans that he looks at his own leisure, that would be amazing.
Like a newsletter, or like a Ask Jordan response box in the newsletter, you know, just anything, you know. I mean, it just, you know, he's got such a great voice too. So watching him, and then the thing is too, is at BLOCKCON, seeing him be so playful and funny was nice, because he is kind of quiet, you know. So seeing him like, oh, Jordan's having a good time, Jordan's being silly, like this is like
when we see him having fun and like genuinely smiling and being happy, all the Jordan girls are so excited. And I'm sure all the fans are in general, but yeah, like as soon as you think, oh man, well, Jordan, where are you? Why? He'll say something so sweet, like when he talked about I'll be loving you forever, and how it's like he thinks of us, he thinks of his mom, you know, and I was just like, oh, this is why we love you so much.
I like how he was like, don't cry, but cry, it's ugly, it's real ugly if I cry.
Like at Carnegie.
Right. I wasn't there, but I watched all those videos, and I was like, oh, he's not an ugly crier.
He's like, I can't. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. We miss him. It's nice to see him happy doing the thing. So yeah, that was one thing that I really enjoyed about panels too.
Yeah, put it in the universe. Jordan, do solo shows. Follow Joe's lead. Do it.
Yes. Speaking of panels, when you think about all the YouTube finds, things that have been put up over the years, what's a video that comes to mind that you'd like to see them react to?
Let me think. What, the videos of like them on the cruise or like music videos?
Anything, either or both.
Well, being that Cruise X was my first cruise. I saw on YouTube, not live, their toga see-through cruise moment where they didn't realize they were backlit in togas. And I did think it was funny that at BLOCKCON, in their like gear of clothing that they had upstairs to look at, that they did have the togas there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being that they're a little, kind of tongue in cheek and, poking fun of themselves about that like, it should be cute. It would be fun. As for like videos, I do. I mean, we grew up in the 80s, like grew up with, MTV, night tracks on TBS, watching all the videos. So every time they make videos, I'm for it. So if they, want to keep making videos, I would like all of that. I would also put in the universe, I'd love for them to make another album.
Yes.
These fun throwback singles are great, but like when they actually get down with real new songs, like, this is so good.
It is, and they have a way of being current, but not compromising themselves and their sound. So
Agreed.
They work with great producers that suit them well.
Mhm.
And it feels like it's been a long time since 10. So, or even the EP, Thankful,
Yeah.
I can't forget about Thankful. So
I love that song. I mean, I have it tattooed on my arm. I love that
Awesome.
song. And it's so fitting too, with like, not even just them, but like them coming back has done as a fandom, and all the people I've met because they came back. Like you, I got to see you in person at BLOCKCON.
I know.
I mean, how long have we been friends on the internet? Forever.
Exactly. And I mean, that whole block action thing we do, where we have the events and we get together online we've kind of slowed it down because of the pandemic, we're out of it, but it really helped us get to know each other. Everybody got to experience that bond during a tough time when we did those events. So it's been a real joy seeing everybody in person. Like, it's almost surreal,
Like, it's you. I can hug you. You're in front of me. You're not on a screen on my phone.
It's funny too. The first time I met Nikki and Brooke, I was waiting at the cruise door there where you enter the ship, and I was hanging out with friends, and we're like, let's just see everybody as they're coming in so that we won't miss anybody and it'll be fun. So I meet Nikki and Brooke for the first time. And the first thing I think I said to Nikki was, "You're a tall girl like me." It was amazing.
Yeah, I think I tend to say, I want to be as tall as you when I grow up.
And you're very close with them. I know that you're involved with many My So-Called Whatever events and such.
Yeah, I coined myself the West Coast correspondent. And so because we do get to do a lot of things out here. So I was like, I'm just gonna go, I'll go live on their things, or I'll post stuff to their site because it gets to stay there and people who aren't there get to see it. But yeah, that was the thing, was like, I had a blockhead friend from high school, and we just on a whim decided to, like, as a spoof, like, it'd be really funny. It's 1996. If we went to school head to toe in New Kids gear, like if we wore the shirts and we got like the backpacks or the jackets, and it was not cool in 1996 to like New Kids on the Block. So me and my friend Lene and our friend Stacy, as a bit, all day we're like, New Kids are amazing. You don't even know. And people are like, why are you dressed like that? We're like, oh, they're so good. So we went back and then after school watched Lene's VHSs. And we're like, why did we ever stop liking them? Oh my God. So like from 1996, we were all in, even though they were like nowhere to be found. So she's my blockhead friend. And then I have two cousins that are blockhead friends too. I mean, blockhead lovers too. And so, but that was like it. And so I did a meet and greet in 2015. And I remember there were people fighting over like the spaces. And I was like, oh, is this how it is? Like, are people really mean? Like, oh, I don't, it scares me. Wasn't until 2017, they did a LA Podfest here in Southern California, where like they had a bunch of podcasts, and then Joe was on the panel for the Comedy Film Nerds. So I posted a picture on a Facebook group, and Nikki found me. She was like, "Oh, we have a podcast that does like New Kids on the Block 80s, 90s nostalgia." So then I started listening, and of course, yeah, we're all around the same age. I never thought girls from Maine would be into the same stuff, but of course they are. We're all teenagers at the same time. Yeah. And so when the group started getting bigger, they wanted to make sure that, the internet's not a crappy place. So let's make our group a nice place that's not a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And so she brought on like a handful of us from different places to like be moderators. And so we have like running chats with each other. And now there's, I think, 15 or 16 of us that are literally from, you know, Oregon all the way to Texas to Florida to Maine, like they're and everywhere in between. And so this group of people, like I say, even my good friends that I grew up with, they're not nerdy the same way as me. So the fact that it's like, okay, wait, Joe's doing a show at Carnegie. If you want, I'll sign in with your thing and try to get you tickets. Like, you know, we tag team.
Yeah.
And so the first time I met even like Christine, who lives in Oregon, she came down for a Joe show in Hollywood, and I picked her up from the airport. Never met her before in person, but just, you know, been friends online. And we hung out for like 12 hours. Wasn't awkward, wasn't weird. Like, yeah, of course, we're friends. Makes sense. So I give the new kids a lot of like love because of all the amazing people that I know now.
Yeah.
Is because of them. Like if they never came back, I would never know so many amazing people. Thank you, new kids. Thank you. I'm thankful. Thankful, new kids. Thank you.
Very thankful. You're so correct. And it's like that initial bond is what gets you to meet each other. And then once you all learn about each other, and like we say on the show all the time, how new kids are the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Whatever event it is we do, because we get to spend all that time with friends.
Yeah.
You know?
That there's no way I would have met otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That I think that's what made BLOCKCON so amazing too, was just that being able to have time and leisure time too, not stressed short time, but like leisure long amounts of just time of hanging out in the lobby and, you know, just hanging out with friends and cracking each other up and being ridiculous, you know, without a new kid in sight. Like that was probably the best part of BLOCKCON, was just hanging out with my friends from Canada, and then like, oh, here's, you know, the girls from Wisconsin, and, you know, Jenny flew up from Texas. And so it's the wonderful parts of the events is all of the, yes, we're there for a concert, but like everything else in between. Love all of the in between.
Yes. Oh man. Did you get to take part in some sightseeing and other experiences in Chicago while you were there?
Sorta. Just on the first on that Thursday when I flew in, my other friend Naomi, who lives there, she picked me up from the airport, and so we went to Chicago proper to a restaurant, which name I cannot think of. It was a bar, but they had food, and so upstairs they had like a burlesque show.
Oh, cool.
And so yeah, so we had drinks and ate some very tasty food and watched these amazing like burlesque dancers in their sparkles, burlesque, and they had a band. The little band was playing everything from like Fleetwood Mac to like Outkast. Like it was like a rad little, it looked like, I was like, oh, it looks like we're in a TV show. Like everything was styled really cool. And the Chicago people like just like looked really cool, and like we're eating delicious food and having like fun little drinks. And so I didn't get to see the Bean or like see the river or do the rest of the Chicago stuff, but I was like, at least I got a little bit into Chicago officially. I mean, I would go back. She lives there. She's like, I got a spare room next time you're in town. I said, okay, I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, it's a fun city. There was a lot to do downtown. We got to go a couple times.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, did you get to go? Was it the rest of Sunday, or how long did you go? Were you there till Monday?
I was there till Monday. We still did some touristy stuff on Monday. I went with a few friends to do the river architecture tour downtown, so we could see all the buildings and get a good look at downtown. I ran my way over to the Bean to check it out, take little pictures with my Funko Pops in front of the Bean.
Those were so cute. Those pictures.
I'm like, this is why I have to come here and do this, at least this picture, and then I'll get my ass home. But yeah, so that was fun. And then the night, I think it was Thursday night after WallCon, a few of us went for a birthday party downtown Chicago, and we got to go to like a rooftop patio at night, and it was gorgeous. So a few different stops we went on for that. It was almost like a pub crawl. It was beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I had never been to the Midwest, and so that was my first time in Chicago. So I'm glad I got to dip my toe in it. But I saw a lot of different videos of people like out and about at like different bars and clubs and dancing and stuff. So I was like, all right, people are out getting their little boogie on. I like that.
We're like, yeah, we're just having a quiet night, and we're at the club, and we're like, oons.
And then everybody loses their voice from talking like this because it's so loud. And then like the next morning, you're like, why am I so raspy?
We went to this one club, and when we walked in, everyone was fairly young in there. But there's a large group of us that are in our 30s and 40s coming in the door and we're ready to dance and have a good time. But I went up to the DJ and I asked, could you play Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch, Good Vibrations? And he looked at me like, what? Okay. I said, listen, there's a bunch of cougars here now. Okay. And we want to dance. Could you play something from the 90s? Anything. And he still looked at me with that dumbfounded look on his face. And I'm like, all right, nice talking to you. Thanks.
You're like, before you were born, there was music. Can you play one of those songs, please?
Exactly. I was hoping to get him with the Cougars thing, but no.
right over the head. That's hilarious.
Well, wrapping things up, I was just going to ask you too. I wanted to mention, did you get any pictures in the doll boxes?
No. I meant to, and I was like, oh, I got to find Joe's, but I didn't realize Joe's was on the back end. And then when we were walking through, it was just people, the lines were really long and there were people taking pictures, but I didn't see any of the guys in the boxes. And I was like, oh, I need to go back. And I just never went back. Spaced. Too much shenanigans and I forgot to go back. I did take a lot of pictures. I'm putting a bunch of them up on my my photography Instagram, and then I'm putting a bunch of the videos on my TikTok, but I didn't get any. I got a bunch of pictures with all my friends, but I didn't get in any of like the things except for that one that had like the kind of pattern background where it took a picture of you and then it put it on the screens between the panels.
Yes.
So I did make a run. I was like, oh, there was nobody there. I took a picture and then went back to my seat. But I think that's the only one. And I saw everyone else's fun pictures of like getting in the confetti box and things, and the confetti's flying with the wind. And I was like, next time I need to do the things, because I was like, oh, I'll come back. And then I just never did.
Yeah, you always think you have a little more time. Well, that's no problem. We'll do it later.
Did not have time.
That's okay. I feel fairly certain that this kind of event will happen again next year.
Donnie said so. Donnie said so. I will be there.
Yes. And I'm sure it'll be bigger and better. And hopefully they get a lot of ideas from us, you know.
I mean, he does listen. I did like the location. So I had people like, they should put it in Boston. I'm like, they can keep it in Chicago. Like, that's not, everything doesn't have to be in Boston.
The centralness of it was good.
Yes.
For everybody.
1,000% yes. So I wouldn't mind.
I like traveling to new locations for, you know, just for life experiences. But I mean, I like the centralness of it. And I think it's a good idea for everybody to keep it kind of central.
I agree. We'll let Donnie know. We'll tell Donnie.
Donnie, we love you. We know you're listening.
He does pay attention though.
Mm-hmm.
So
he surprised me because he has listened to this show.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know.
Didn't he shout you out at the cruise last year?
Yes. I was like, he made my life that day.
Yeah, he's like, dope nostalgia, my so-called whatever. I was like,
yes.
Talking to Ragtail and shouting out to everybody else.
Oh, this is real life.
I can't even tell you the number of times I've said that, where something happens and it's like, is this real life? Like, how spoiled are we? Like, this is amazing. Yeah,
it's good. It's a wonderful place to be. And I'm so glad. I hope next time we see each other, I get to spend more time with you, you know?
Yes.
Instead of just a quick, like, hi, you know, like more.
Or in passing again, like, hey again.
Yeah. No. And thank you for making the time for being on Dope Nostalgia today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And cheers to more New Kids shenanigans.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Back to BLOCKCON. There'll be so much more content coming from some of our favorite blockheads in the New Kids universe. Remember, Dope Nostalgia is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work. See you next time.